Long-distance relationships are something people ask me about all the time. It shows up in messages, in comments, in quiet questions that usually start with, "Do you think it can actually work?" I don't consider myself an expert. I don't have a collection of long-term success stories to point to as proof that I've mastered it. If anything, I'm probably not built for it in the most obvious way. I'm very physical. I reach for people when I care about them. I sit close. I lean in. I notice small shifts in posture and breathing. I register presence before I register words. So when the person I'm involved with exists mostly through a screen, something in me has to adjust constantly. That doesn't mean distance makes connection impossible. It means that for someone like me, connection normally grows through proximity, through shared space, through the unnoticed rhythm of being around each other. When that disappears, what's left is mostly language, and language has to carry weight it was never designed to carry alone. In a long-distance relationship, trust isn't something that gradually forms through overlapping lives. It becomes the entire structure from the beginning. You don't know the streets they walk every day. You don't know how they move through a room, how they interact when they're tired, how they respond when plans change. You know what they tell you. You know the version of their day that reaches you. There's no accidental witnessing, no background observation. Everything arrives curated through conversation. That doesn't mean it's false. It just means it's filtered by default. When two people live near each other, trust builds through repetition. You see how someone handles pressure. You notice consistency. You absorb patterns without trying to. From a distance, those patterns are described rather than observed. You're trusting that the description is accurate. You're trusting that what isn't mentioned isn't being hidden. The entire dynamic rests on the assumption that both people are willing to be transparent, even when there is no physical accountability enforcing it. Because presence is missing, communication expands to fill the gap. Messages in the morning, updates throughout the day, calls scheduled across time zones, video conversations that try to simulate sitting across from each other. At first, that level of contact feels necessary. It feels like proof of effort, but written words don't carry tone reliably. A short reply can be read as distance. A delayed response can be interpreted as withdrawal. A neutral sentence can acquire tension depending on the mood of the person reading it. There's no immediate correction through body language or eye contact. If something lands wrong, it lingers longer before it's clarified. Over time, the communication itself can become patterned. The same call at the same hour, the same sequence of updates, the same goodnight routine. What begins as intentional effort slowly turns into structure. You log in because it's time to log in. You speak because that's what you do at that hour. And without noticing, the interaction can shift from discovery to maintenance. You're preserving the relationship, not necessarily expanding it. At the same time, there's the quiet risk of rearranging your life around a person who isn't physically there. Your schedule adapts to their availability. Your attention splits between the environment you occupy and the one they describe. You answer quickly because silence feels loaded. You check your phone because you're waiting. The relationship starts to regulate your internal state. A message stabilizes you. A delay unsettles you. It can happen gradually without either person intending for it to. Independence becomes less about autonomy and more about survival of identity. When two people live in separate cities or countries, they are not sharing daily context. Each person still has to build a life that functions locally. Friends, work, routines, spaces that exist without the other person's input. If those foundations weaken, the relationship absorbs too much responsibility. It becomes the central source of connection, validation, distraction, and structure. That's a heavy load for something that already operates under strain.
And then there is the absence that can't be negotiated away. Physical presence is not limited to touch. It's the way someone occupies space next to you, the background awareness of them moving in the kitchen, the small adjustments in proximity during conversation, the way silence feels different when it's shared in the same room. Screens transmit faces and voices, but they don't transmit weight or temperature or subtle shifts in energy. For someone who relies on proximity to feel grounded in a relationship, that absence isn't dramatic. It's continuous. It doesn't spike, it just persists. Some people navigate that absence more easily. For them, conversation carries enough depth to sustain closeness. Shared plans and future visits create momentum. The gap feels manageable. For someone wired differently, no amount of verbal reassurance replaces the physical dimension. It isn't about dissatisfaction with the other person, it's about the mismatch between how connection is experienced internally and what the structure allows externally. Infidelity is often discussed as if distance is the cause, as if miles create temptation that wouldn't exist otherwise. But distance doesn't alter someone's character, it only alters visibility. If someone intends to step outside the relationship, proximity won't prevent it. If someone is committed, distance won't undo that commitment. The absence of oversight might make concealment easier, but it doesn't generate the impulse. That impulse exists independently of geography. What distance does is remove distractions. When you can't rely on shared errands, spontaneous dinners, or physical intimacy to smooth over tension, the relationship stands on communication alone. Whatever insecurity, inconsistency, or imbalance was present becomes clearer. There's less camouflage. The connection either adapts to the structure or it strains against it. So when people ask whether long-distance relationships work, the question feels too broad. The structure can function, it has functioned for many, but it doesn't function the same way for everyone. It requires an alignment between temperament and circumstance. It requires comfort with ambiguity, tolerance for absence, and the ability to sustain trust without visual reinforcement. And even then, it changes the shape of the relationship. It doesn't replicate proximity, it creates something adjacent to it. For me, being very physical complicates that equation. I don't process closeness purely through conversation, I register it through presence. When presence is replaced by pixels, I can participate, but I'm aware of the translation. There is always a layer missing. That awareness doesn't automatically mean the relationship fails, it just means the experience is different from what my instincts anticipate. Over time, the real question stops being whether long distance works in theory. It becomes whether the specific people involved can inhabit that structure without reshaping themselves beyond recognition, whether they can stay connected without dissolving into dependence, whether communication can remain alive rather than procedural, whether trust can remain stable without constant verification, and whether the absence of shared space is something they can integrate rather than endure. There isn't a universal answer to that. There is only the ongoing experience of living inside it and noticing what it does to you.